Hello, I'm Justin Smith with Siemens Digital Industries Software, and today I would like to show you how easy it is to create a seat mounting bracket using Siemens NX. In the graphics window, you can see we have a bicycle with the child seat mounted to it. However, if we take a look, we can see that there is no bracket that connects the seat to the rest of the bike. To fix this, we'll use NX sheet metal. First, I'll need to transfer some reference geometry from the assembly in order to construct the bracket. Now that that's done, we can get started with the sheet metal bracket. This component will be symmetric, so I'll begin by trimming half the reference geometry since it makes the display more clear. To do this, I simply select all the reference geometry and the existing datum plane. As you can see, I'm already in the NX sheet metal application. My first task will be to create the base tab. I will use the base tab to create the rest of the features in the part. To create the tab, I'm just going to use the sketch profile and use the reference face to position it. After projecting the reference geometry onto my sketch, I'll create a profile to connect the reference curves. As you can see, I'm simply adding some line geometry in order to finish the profile sketch used to complete the tab. I can use the trim command to tidy things up and complete the sketch. As I exit the sketch, you can see that a tab with the default thickness will automatically be created. Now that we've got the initial tab, we can continue to develop the sheet metal shape using the standard flange command. I can select the edge of the tab and check to make sure the new flange does not interfere with the reference geometry. The flange is already the appropriate length and angle. As you can see, the second flange also clears the reference geometry. Next, we can extend the flange using a secondary tab that will incorporate the fixing holes shown in the reference geometry. I will select the flange we created to make the sketch for the tab. I'll use the project geometry function to reference the existing flange. Then I'll reference the holes and edges of the bracket to fix the bracket to the bike, which will ensure an exact fit into the assembly. Next, I'll extend the reference geometry to finish shaping the tab. You can see how quickly lines can be extended. This helps to speed up the sketching process. Lastly, I can trim the remaining lines and complete the sketch. We now have a tab projected from our sketch. You can see that there's some interference with the bracket in the reference geometry. We can add a jog to the sheet metal to correct it. To do this, I just need to sketch a line on the tab we just created. This line will become the jog line that the sheet metal bends around. Now that I've finished the sketch, I can change the height and height reference so that the sheet metal fits tightly around the reference geometry. Once we are satisfied with the results, we can repeat the process for a second jog. I simply select the reference geometry for a jog line and finish the sketch. I will change the height to 18 mm, reverse the side of the jog, and change the height reference so that the sheet metal is flush with the reference geometry to make a more secure fit to the bike. It looks like the bracket's bending right around the reference geometry exactly how we want it to, so we can move on to the next step. I'd like to use the contour flange command to create a contour flange that wraps around the tube tightly. I select the edge I need to connect the contour flange to. Then I dynamically drag the plane to the edge. Here I'll sketch out the shape that I want and set this line tangent to the tube to ensure that I get a good fit. Now that I have the general shape drawn, I can drag the curve into the reference geometry position. Notice how the curve snaps to tangent. I'll just drag this corner in a little bit here. The contour flange command will create a flange following the completed curve that is the specified 5 mm wide. Next, I can use the flange command to create a flange that extends out to and bends to be flush with the reference geometry provided. I simply select the At End option and toggle Match Face to until selected. Once I've done that, I select the edge and corner of the base tab. Then I select Specify Plane and select the reference plane and set the distance. I then change the inset to material outside so the flange is flush with the reference plane. Now that we've completed this half of the part, we can mirror the body about the central plane to ensure that we have a symmetric part. Once I've mirrored the part, I will unite the two bodies to complete the part. We obviously have a 3D model of this bracket. However, it is made of sheet metal and will need a flat pattern to begin the manufacturing process. I just need to select the base face, and NX will create a flat pattern. Once the flat pattern has been created, we can view the new flat pattern under Model Views and the Part Navigator. In this demonstration, we have looked at using NX sheet metal to create a bracket for the seat assembly and utilized reference geometry from other components within the assembly that have helped us to capture design intent for this bracket. Thank you.